Hey everyone, I'm Mike Lowe, and this is MyNBA 2K23 on PS5. This is our MyNBA GM mode series that we're now jumping into the second season. So we are in episode 1 of season 2, and we got a lot going on here. So first I want to thank you all for all that we've done already, which is get through the first season. You've asked some amazing questions, you've made some amazing recommendations, and I'm just really excited to really be going through all of this with a group like you all have been so far. It's been really, really fun. You've given me some great ideas, some really good items to really kind of dwell on and think about, and it just makes it a lot more realistic when we're going through and kind of maybe poking holes in our arguments and things like that. And so it's worked both ways that way. It's been super helpful, and I so appreciate it. So last we left off kind of at the end of the off season, and we were considering a Paul George trade, and I went through and kind of just tested that trade to see what happened. And let me tell you what happened. It was weird. So when Paul George jumped onto this team, when I kind of tested out the trade, he slotted into the starting spot at small forward. This moved Barrett down to the bench. That seemed crazy to me. Now, I understand, of course, we can go in and edit all this manually. Totally, right? That's not a huge shock to anybody, and I've had some people suggest that, and you're absolutely right. I could go in and edit even Brunson to be a point guard, and he would fit really nicely into what we're trying to do. But I don't want to give ourselves any sort of advantage that the CPU teams are doing. At the same time, I don't really like to run like a 30-team control where I'm doing this for all teams and I'm making the trades. I don't want to do that. So to me, I have to stay in bounds with that sort of thing. So now I don't mind doing a little test trade to see, because to me, that's kind of like going up to your coach and being like, hey, so we have a deal for Paul George. How are you planning to use him? And he'd say, well, yeah, I'm going to move Barrett to the bench. He'd be our sixth man. And be like, oh, well, you're insane. So no, we're not going to do that trade, right? So that's how I'm doing it. I'm not going to make any sort of special edits. So where are we? Well, we have a trade, and we are going to make it right now. I promise this won't be a tease. But let me just kind of show you, because first off, I think 2K does an amazing job of it's hard to generate the exact same trades every single time. So I don't think it's a big secret. We're still kind of searching for point guard because our team's in really, really good shape so far, outside of really just kind of a true, no doubt about it, starting point guard. And what I did is just sort by all point guards. You know what? Actually, I take that back. We got to adjust a couple things. So it's point guards. And then I'm looking for someone who's got, say, at least B+ perimeter defense and at least B+ playmaking. And then, of course, just like an 80 overall, because we already have Quickly there, who I like. But again, there's not a whole lot of depth behind him. With those two rookies who are second-round picks, they're in the low 70s. That would be really problematic. And I think this is going to be a really good Knicks team, right? So to me, I don't want to have a season be derailed if we lose our starting point guard for any significant amount of time. I will kind of spare you the details here, but most of these players the teams weren't interested in. I know some of you were asking about SGA here, and this is kind of the typical message that we're getting on some of these offers, is that they're just not interested in making a deal. And that's fine. I'm glad the game does that, actually. Fox was a player that was willing to be dealt by the Kings, but I didn't really like the offers. They just didn't make sense right now, as much as I do like De'Aaron Fox. And he kind of fits what we're looking for. It just didn't make as much sense when I looked at a couple other deals that were out there. By the way, Mike Connolly did sign. I didn't have a chance to get back in the free agency. And when the season rolled over, he had already signed. Same thing here. We can't trade for a player who was recently signed until later in the year. So Connolly's off the board now. Quickly even shows up on our list, but again, we're kind of looking for something, because I think Quickly's good, but I don't know if he's going to put us over the top to make us maybe like a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, for instance. Really, really nice player, and maybe he will after next year. But he's got a contract year, I believe, that's expiring here at the end of this year. And so, yeah, I don't know, right? We just don't know. And if he does pan out, it's going to be really, really expensive. So that's kind of what we're open to. Before Fultz was an option, but now Orlando's saying no. There was only one player still on here that worked other than Fox. And again, I think Fox is a great player, but the asking price was a little too high for me. Just to kind of show you, and again, these change a lot of times when I go in here. So I know a lot of us have talked about, hey, we got to move Randall. I totally agree. I think he's going to be next kind of on the chopping block, potentially age 28. But I want him for this year. I really think the Knicks can be good this year, and he needs to be part of that mix, in my opinion. we can cross that bridge later. He's only got 2 more years. He's not going to cripple us or anything, right? So he was a hell of a player for us last year. And at the same time, I'm a big believer in like you kind of treat a team building like you do the stock market. You buy low and you sell high. So there's a huge argument of saying, well, we should trade Julius Randle. He's probably at his highest right now. And I agree with you, except for that we have an owner who wants us to win. And that supersedes. I want to keep my job, right? So I don't love these deals. I also really like Grimes, even though he may be involved in the deal that we're going to be doing today. I like Grimes, but to me, this just doesn't seem to make as much sense as it may look like. And it's like, oh, cool, we're getting a pick, but it's a lottery protected pick that honestly is no different. That's hardly any different to me than as even a second round pick. Not super concerned. So this deal, again, this would leave us way too thin at power forward. Doesn't make sense to me. Cason Wallace, I still would really, really like to keep. He's not quite the player I'd hoped for. And I love his ratings here. He can score. He can play great defense. He can honestly slot in at point guard and play for us. So it's really good. But his potential is a little bit lower than I was hoping when we drafted him 11th. But I still have some pretty optimistic for him. One of the concerns I've had, and this might just be the draft class I use, a lot of the rookies have come in pretty unhealthy, which is really surprising. Like, and this isn't just because I got panicked at first, like, oh, geez, what's wrong with Wallace? I didn't notice this. But most of the rookies have stuff like this where they look like they're old men already in the league. So that's something to think about. If we do another series, I might look to do a different draft class there. But anyway, that's fine. So I didn't love these. So let me tell you the player that we are going to be acquiring, and it's going to be Jamal Murray. And it's going to take a little finagling here, even on this particular video, because it's not always so straightforward. So this is a decent offer, but I don't really have a need for Aaron Gordon, even if we flipped out Julius Randle. It's not a bad deal, but I like Randle a lot more than I do Aaron Gordon. So I didn't want to do this. This one is not bad, but again, we kind of still don't have depth at point guard if we make this move. So I didn't really love this, even though I do love Amen Thompson. If you remember from the draft, he's one of the players I had an eye on. So I do like that. I kind of like where Denver's going. Like, wait, we can give you these two. I'm like, okay, cool. You like Brunson. I'm not even opposed to moving a first round draft pick in the right deal. That's fine. Again, not really looking to move Mitchell Robinson just yet. It would leave us too thin at center, and I really have no interest in Caldwell Pope. This deal here, again, makes sense, right? You're kind of flipping rookies. This is the 13th pick in the draft. We have the 11th. Brunson and for Murray. So what I did is I went in and said, okay, well, let's talk about this, right? So we entered the screen here, and I just kind of said, like, well, I really, really want to keep Cason Wallace. I really like him. So maybe, and I have no problem if you want this. I'm going to kind of up this and say, you know what, I'd rather just move the second round pick for this year because we already have 3 of them. So let's do Brunson, that, and then let's see, what do we need to do here? It's invalid trade still. I'm trying to remember what we even did here. So I know I was going to offer them Wilson Gordon. Made some sense. By the way, I tried to include Fournier. They have no interest. They do like Grimes. And they did like Wilson Gordon. And this makes the trade, as far as I remember, acceptable. Now, it might work, it might not. But this is the trade that I'm hoping to go with. We would essentially move 2 guys that we have in our top 9. We get 2 guys back. But it just helps balance out our depth. You figure we're switching a shooting guard where we're super deep for a point guard where we're not. And then we're also getting depth at small forward in a young, inexpensive rookie who's got some nice promise, who's also injured, as I said before. But he's got some nice promise who can fall in and slot behind RJ Barrett at the small forward position. And he can also play kind of a tall shooting guard, right? So Amen Thompson, I think, would be a really nice addition. And then essentially you'd have 3 first round picks on this team. So pretty exciting there. Or did we pick what did we pick Wilson? No, he was the second round. Yeah. So yeah, there's quite a bit of potential here in this deal, and I hope they accept it. If not, they're going to kind of counter us. So they have a counter, and see, they always want to include quickly. And they want to, so basically what they've asked for is like, yeah, this deal's good, but here's what we want. We want an extra second round pick in 24. That's fine. I don't care. They want to flip Emmanuel Quickly for Highland. And I like Quickly better, but to me, to get this deal done, fine, right? So the pros of Highland over Quickly, is there's really one, maybe two big ones. He's a year younger, and that coincides with him having another year of team control. And so other than that, they're pretty similar players. I would definitely say Quickley is the better player. He's certainly the better defender, but we have a lot of perimeter defense now, right? We don't have to have every single player. This is a guy who can come off the bench and score some points against the other team's bench players, right? And so I got no problem with this. He's got pretty good potential. Again, I still like Quickley better. And they're rated the same. And trust me, I've tried to like remove this and be like, no, man, come on. Like, let's just like, these guys are a wash, take them out. And I'll even give you the extra draft pick. Like, that's fine. I mean, I'll even try that one more time. Okay, hey, here you go. Like, sure, have the other second round pick because I'd rather do this, right? And then they say, no, we want Quickley for Highland. And so to me, okay, fine. I don't care that much. They're going to be backup point guards. Quickley's gone after this year unless we really want to pay up. And so we get something for him here. And again, he's not like the world's greatest perimeter defender. So it's not like we're sacrificing a ton. They can still contribute on offense. They still have good potential. And we get the guy who's a year younger. So I'm okay with it. This is a big trade, right? This is huge. And it's crazy that like this is what it's finally come to. But I actually like that it kind of thins out our draft a little bit because, I mean, it just frees up some roster spots and things like this. But this is the big trade. And guys, I think this makes the Knicks a top 3 or 4 team in the East, potentially. Let's call it maybe 3 to 5. If this team stays healthy, they're going to be really good, right? So let's see what this trade looks like if we go through with it. They've accepted it. We finally have made our first trade. And let's just see how it's kind of slotted here now. So Jamal Murray, wearing number 27, slots in at point guard. They're still going to start Beverly. And I'm okay with that because, again, our best perimeter defender, we have guys who can score the ball, right? Let's put our best perimeter defender out there against the starters. Let's shut that other team down. That was our biggest issue on defense we talked about, right? Of course, Barrett, Randall, Robinson make up the forwards and center position. And then here's our bench now. Look how deep this gets. Highland is our 6th man. Toppin, Thompson, who we just got, and Wallace. So we get the 2 rookies kind of filling out the top 9 spots. And then still behind that, you have Hartenson, who played really well. And you still have Fournier, who I know we're not crazy about. This is good because injuries are going to happen, right? So we have a forward, we have a guard who can slot in. We still have some younger players that we really like. Even though I still liked Wilson more than Rush, they just wouldn't do it. Financially, it didn't work. It was like so close. It was like a couple $100,000 off. So we had to move Wilson over Rush. But nonetheless, I mean, Rush is fine. He's just a kind of a project point guard we picked in the second round there. And so let's see. Yeah, I just think this deal makes a lot of sense for us. We still have some guys we really, really like in Pollard. You know, our other first round draft pick, if you're wondering, he's not showing up here because he's on the roster, but he is a kind of a stash player that we grabbed at pick 30, which is Javon Ball. And so and another reason why we could really move a guy like Grimes, even though I liked him, it just makes a lot of sense. So here's what the roster is kind of looking like in general, right? Murray, Highland, and project player at point guard, perfect, right? I didn't want Rush to be dependent on to be a backup just yet. Here, we're really nice 3 deep here. A lot of different options at shooting guard. Still developing Wallace, of course. Ball's going to sit out. Now we have some depth at small forward, which is really, really nice. And I mean, even a 3-year age gap that worked out perfect. Randall here, again, a 3-year age gap with power forward. Not that I'm necessarily always looking for that, but that's nice. We have some options here that if Randall were to leave after this year or something like that, or if the year's really bad, we move him at the trade deadline. We have some options there with Pollard, who's kind of a long shot project, but still a really nice 3-point shooter who could have a role here, certainly with injuries. And then again, center. 2 centers we like, somewhat of a project, even though he's still 25 years old. The same age as the other centers. But yeah, I really like how this came together. I really like this roster. And I'm just, curious your thoughts on how you think it's going to go. I think this team could be really, really solid. And not only that, sustainable through injuries, which is going to make this team a force to deal with in the Eastern Conference. People ask about, how are you going to handle Miles Bridges? And what I did from day one in season 1 was to just give him the longest injury possible. And so I'm just going to leave it like that. I'm not going to edit him out. I'm not going to lower him down to a 0, mostly because the team has already paid for him. And I just feel, we're just talking about a game here. We're talking about a video game, and the game doesn't understand who Miles Bridges really is, or is, kind of the situation he's going through in real life and whatnot. And so to me, for whatever reason, whatever story we want to come up with here, we're just going to kind of let this resolve itself after 8 to 10 weeks in the second season. He's going to miss essentially almost a season and a half with it. And we'll just kind of just go from there, and the Pistons can just use him as they wish. So that's kind of the plan for Miles Bridges, for those who were asking. So here's how Denver looks after that trade. They've thinned themselves a little bit at point guard, obviously, but they get the point guard or shooting guard upgrade that they've been looking for, it seems. And so that's going to be really helpful. You can see that's where Grimes slots in. So they get 4 guards from the Knicks here, and then also 2 draft picks. And they're also to free up a really, really big contract. I don't know. This team doesn't look like they're going to be very good. And so, of course, you have the 2-time MVP. I don't think he didn't win it last year, but you have the previous back-to-back MVP in the league. And I mean, certainly still have talent on this team, no doubt. So it'll be curious to see how a team that's very, very top heavy as far as talent's concerned performs this year. How the coaching system and overall system proficiency is looking after the trade. You can see there we're looking pretty good. We have a lot of players with nice green bars there, so really nice fit for Thibodeau. By the way, if you're looking to see the actual overall team rosters across the league, there is a members only video that I posted that if you sign up to be a member, you will get access to. So thanks for doing that. Definitely take a look at those, and there'll be many, many future videos like that. It's just kind of a little private inside look around not just this streaming series, but other future streaming series as well. So, and thanks to all those signing up for the membership, super appreciated. And I'm excited to provide that kind of inside look content. Small concerns, I guess, with NBA 2K23 is I'm not super confident in how the CPU is handling player mentorship. And to be clear, before we even look at that, let's just look at our settings here, because I don't believe there's even a spot where we can do this, right? You can have all of this other stuff under like the team automation set to on or off and everything, but there's nothing in here, as far as I can see, that's dealing with the actual mentor system. And I thought it did a pretty good job in the first season out the gate, but not so much. As I click through this, there's only one mentor set up, and it's Julius Randle mentoring Mitchell Robinson, which, okay, I guess, but that's not really one I would have kind of set up. And so, of course, as I said earlier, this is something we can easily handle ourselves, but I feel a little bit at an advantage if I'm doing it and the other CPU teams are not. Our team is just going to progress much more quickly, and it's going to just, I don't know, I feel like I'm cheating, right? So don't really want to do that, but I'm curious what your thoughts are. And like I said, I also don't want to go through and have to do all these manually for all of the other teams too. I was really hoping there was a feature just to kind of automate it or have us do it manually, or at least I know the CPU teams are doing it. And I guess I could turn on 30 team control and kind of look around to see what the other teams are looking like, but I don't even feel that's necessary because they're performing the same way that our team is, probably not super efficient when it comes to that mentor system. But let me know your thoughts. I'm just going to leave it as is for now. We have a really, really good coaching staff who's helped our players develop. I think that's going to be our biggest contributing factor to why this team, at least in my opinion, is going to be a lot better this second season. So the season has begun, and there's some good news and some bad news. We'll start with the bad news here, which you can see on screen. We have our first injury, and that's to Jamal Williams, pinched nerve in the back. It's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. And so, again, we're going to let the CPU/coach adjust this. But let's go ahead and stop here. We're kind of halfway through November, and we can just take a look and see so far. The Knicks are 8-3. So pretty excited about that. So are the fans. Fan interest at 100. And team chemistry is still kind of building its way up. I would guess that has to do with just a lot of player overturn, which I think is a super, super cool feature. Some other games do this as well. Out of the park baseball, which I talk a lot about in other streams and whatnot, is a game that does this really, really well with kind of adaptability and just kind of how the teams all kind of work together with the coaching staff and stuff like that. So really, really cool to see. long gone are the days of playing sport titles back in the 90s or early 2000s when you could just kind of get all the best players and just go with it. So, and that's realistic, right? Because that doesn't always work in real life. But I was pretty excited to see this first on the road win. Boston, we go into the Boston Garden and get the win, followed by a pretty disappointing loss in which we just didn't really shoot the ball well. And we lost to a Pacers team that we should be beating. And again, a little bit slow out the gate. We had back-to-back losses here against the Sixers. Again, kind of beat ourselves in both of these games. I won't go through all the different box scores, but just had a ton of missed free throws in one of the games. This one, we really outpaced them in everything: blocks, steals, shooting percentage, and that sort of thing. And just for whatever reason, just couldn't hold on to a lead at all in that particular game. But since then, we have won, 5 in a row, right? So all the way, including back on November 4th to the Bucks. 2 against the Hornets, Toronto, and now the Clippers. And so what I'm planning to do is simulate up to this Utah game. I want to see the first pick in the draft, the guy out of France there, play in his game there. And we'll probably look at some highlights of that game as well and kind of check in towards the end of the game to see how it goes. But right now, really promising. Again, a little bummed that we probably won't be seeing Jamal Williams in that game. But still, that's why I wanted depth, right? That's precisely why we wanted depth. Jamal Murray. And so we can sustain an injury like that and still keep moving forward, and we'll be okay. So yeah, we'll have to see how it's all going. But we have some really, really nice game scores, even guys off the bench. That one's a little bit lower. Some of our bench guys have been a little bit lower, but Barrett's game score is just through the roof. Randall's through the roof. Robinson doing really, really well. And again, our bench a little bit left to be desired. Just looking at game scores real quickly. Hasn't been overall too bad. Hartenstein, again, continues to perform pretty well off the bench. So, we're going to jump into that game. I'll give you a quick look at kind of how the team looks before then. But yeah, otherwise, we'll be checking out some gameplay. Well, so far we are exactly where I was hoping it to be, even a little bit better. I think I said 3-5 in the Eastern Conference. Still really early, but 11-4 ahead of teams like the Sixers and the Celtics. I'm pretty excited about that. Even the Bulls, who are off to a slow start this year. Pacers 11-4, so that loss may have not looked as bad as I originally had thought there. But 2 11-4 teams. And again, the team that we're going to be checking in on against is Utah, who had the number 1 pick in the draft. They're not a very good team, so you'd expect it to be a game that the Knicks will win here. But again, 3 more wins to 1 more loss. Team's looking pretty darn good. Okay, so let's jump in and check out some gameplay here. We are actually trailing at home, 92-85, about 7:44 there to go in the 4th, and I was really excited to check out this game because I wanted to see that number 1 overall pick from France, the 7'5". I forget his name now, but I wanted to check him out. He must be hurt or something because he's not playing at all. Just to give you a quick rundown here of just kind of how the stat lines look so far for the Knicks, as well as for the Jazz, and they've had a pretty good balanced attack here. They do have Kyrie Irving on this team, so they're not as bad of a team as maybe their 5-10 record showed. But yeah, nonetheless, just looking to get back into this. We'll see if this team can kind of gel and maybe make a run here in the 4th quarter. But again, it's good. I like to see it's not always a game where the CPU team is putting up 50 with 1 player. It's a really balanced attack. Just had a nice steal by Beverly, who guys just missed. Led to a basket. So 7-point lead. And again, you're looking at the sliders that I've been adjusting here as well. So these are kind of the CPU versus CPU sliders, but I actually feel they play really well in head-to-head, or at least, you versus the CPU. Yeah, quite happy with them, really. But again, the game plays really well out of the box. So
feeds it to Beverly. Down to 5 on the shot clock. Robinson passes to Highland. Tried to come right back with the 3 of his own, but it's no good.
He's been of no help stretching the floor tonight. Just 1 3 in the first half, nothing in the second.
Here's Sexton.
So little things like that, right? See how it's a little harder to penetrate? doesn't always lead to a foul. That's something I've been kind of working on here with this slider set, is just getting a little bit better balance, points in the paint.
They get a hand on it. Thompson in the corner.
A little more sloppy basketball like you see there. Another little thing there leads to more steals and whatnot.
Over Vanderbilt. The shot by
Notice
Thompson,
that shot
no
just outside the paint there.
You can't get anything to fall. It definitely gets in your head.
And his rhythm.
Yeah, and there's the Highlands defense I was worried about in that trade, but
so he could just see the ball go in through the net.
But he's in a starting role today, so again, that's going to leave a vulnerability for sure for the team, just because I envision him coming off the bench mostly, and you know, his defense might not be needed as much when you have you're going against worse players there. So
R.J. Barrett's checked in for New York. With a short break in the action, gives us a chance now to send it over to David Aldridge.
Story, one second.
Thibodeau went over with his guys during the break. No surprise, he was not happy with the turnovers. He told them, we are giving this one away, guys. We've got to be more careful with the ball, play within the offense, and get good open shots. Kevin?
All right, David,
There's a lot of turnovers, according to the coach. The other thing I've noticed, just looking at the box score quick, is Randall and Barrett just haven't been sharp today. And that's obviously going to hurt when your two best players
New York moving the ball around.
just aren't getting it done. Or at least as much as you're expecting them to.
And that's a foul called on Colin Sexton. That'll be his second foul of the game. Second team foul. Three-pointer, Randall. The offensive
Man.
rebound.
Gets his own rebound, though. That's wild.
It's good.
There's Randall.
One of the things you love about Randall.
I don't want to move him.
On the offensive glass.
Just gets it done.
Irving kicks to Vanderbilt.
10-point lead, though, with 5.5 to go. Gotta get moving here.
To the paint.
Oh, gosh.
By Vanderbilt.
Taking it
Another
to
pick and
the
roll,
rack.
just destroying us inside.
Hammering down the two-hand slam. Guys are looking for a spark here.
Yeah, a cold stretch offensively, for sure.
Beverly, the pass to Randall. Robinson on the wing, inside.
Oh, my gosh. Another turnover.
Outside Irving. Sexton on the wing.
Yeah, it looks like we've been turning the ball over a lot this year. 16.1 per game. 28th in the league. That's pretty terrible.
And Utah,
Again, just
another three.
they're just killing us with the
Great
picks
ball
there.
movement there.
Pick and
And
pop.
Barrett has got the ball here for the Knicks. Down by 15.
Well, at least we get to see some gameplay. You can kind of see how the team's starting to play a little bit together.
To the hoop.
I mean, there's a lot of natural power to Randall's game. He's a handful.
But was not expecting a loss to the Jazz at home with the #1 overall pick not even suited up. I remember reading too that apparently you can see those players like on the bench, right? Let's see if we can see. What am I doing here? This camera is rough. Sorry, guys. I've never really like moved the replay camera around a whole lot. So let's see. The Jazz are over here, right? Do we see him anywhere? Why is it all? Let's see. Okay. Or that's the next one. What am I doing? I want to see if he's on their bench. That'd be so cool. And they're supposed to be like they're supposed to be in suits and whatnot if they're not playing. Let's see. Try to zoom out a little bit here. He's probably right in front of me and I'm just missing him. But I don't see a player for the Jazz in a suit. He may also just have been sent to the developmental league, maybe, but that's a little surprising. Those look like all coaches. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see him anywhere. Unless he's standing up back there, but no, that's not. I don't think that's any of them. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
2 shots. And he makes the first.
But yeah, I'd be curious if anyone's using the slider set. So I know we're talking a lot about this GM series and whatnot, but let me know if you're using the slider set. I've only posted them on my YouTube so far. There's just a beta set. Ooh, might have a set ready maybe in the next week or so is kind of what I'm thinking. There's a lot of adjustments, right? So, but again, game plays so well that I haven't had to really do a ton. Just kind of tweaking some things to match the simulated games more.
Right side Irving.
And this game's got the whole extra added layer of simulation sliders as well. So it's kind of like you're tuning two games really. It's pretty beastly. There's some good D. Oh, and it doesn't matter. It's just not our night.
This is how they built the lead, calling on the right guys at the right
But it's a good topic of discussion, right? Because like, what do you do with a team like this? They seem to be pretty talented. We're 11-4, really, really deep. But then we seem to kind of have performances like this, where it's like, what are we doing here? Just sloppy. We're turning the ball over. We're losing to a bad team at home. And is it just that, you know, Murray's hurt, or you know, what are we talking here? So that in and of itself is a good discussion point. If you have feedback on that, you know, my answer mostly is just be patient. Law of probability says that if you got a good team, it'll sort itself out. I'm curious to see too. Well, he's been bad at free throws today. Curious to see too what happens with, like, as chemistry hopefully increases. And I have the chemistry slider, I think, maxed out. I love it. I love that it's a challenge for these guys to gel. But they're still 11-4, so soon to be 11-5, I guess. But
the one thing teams are doing a better job is they are lengthening and going deeper into their
yeah, I mean, they're just whooping us. There's no other way to put it.
At this point, and they haven't been able to respond.
Team looks uninspired right now.
Outside Robinson.
It's just not gonna hurt.
Pass to Highland. An easy 2 points on the layup. Highland's got 10 points in just the second half.
Just a positive force right now for these guys, and though his team has fallen a bit short, it's not because of him.
There you go.
Stolen by Randall. It's Beverly on the wing, defended by Sexton. Randall no good.
I like that Randall's always open on those, but there's a reason, right? They're not really pushing it. He is definitely not our best three-point shooter. We have a lot of guys who can hit threes, but I don't see the coach calling much play variety is one thing I've kind of noticed. I've seen some people talk about that on Twitter. Their pick and roll kills us. Just like to kind of see maybe some playbook variety. And again, obviously we can go in and call these plays ourselves, but I think the game should be able to handle it. You don't want to have to call the plays for the CPU team you're playing against, right? It starts to get a little tedious. There we go. Nice play.
Hammers the alley-oop through. That gives him a double-double in this one. 10 points and 11 rebounds.
Oh, such a beautiful pass to set.
Saw Randall a couple games ago, maybe 3 games ago, had a triple-double. Had like 11 assists to go with rebounds and points. Let's see, they're getting their good shooters open.
Well, credit them for maintaining that aggression.
This looks like the team from last year. Just our defense, just perimeter defense looking bad. Interior defense also looking quite bad. It's not really the shot we want there.
Now here's Beverly. And a miss there on the triple.
And this is going to
Yeah, Utah's defense has looked pretty good. Like, I'm surprised that they're 5-10.
You really got to give it up here for the Jazz.
They really lit it up in this one.
Beverly got crossed over there pretty bad.
Just simply shot the ball well. One of those games to be proud of.
And so with this win, they'll move to 6 victories on the season.
And so they'll take the first game of the season series, a team they'll only see twice. They're certainly happy to start it off with a win.
Pass to Highland.
Oh my gosh. I mean, these shots we're taking.
And it's Irving with the ball.
Again, this is coach mode, in case you're wondering. I'm not doing this. We're just watching. It looks like I'm playing today. It's not pretty. Here we go, guys. There we go, finally.
Robinson with the block. And it goes out of bounds. That went off Robinson. And we have to take another glance at that powerful rejection.
And that has got to
I did
help
up blocks,
the morale of this team. Let's see if that
just slightly.
sets up a run here.
Several teams changing it up here.
Let's just not get hurt, guys. Come on. By the way, if you're curious to see the rest of the roster, as I mentioned earlier, there is a video
6 to shoot.
on my YouTube for members. So if you'd like to become a member, you can do that, and you'll get access to some of those little short videos, things like that. Some other things that I'll be doing throughout the year here. And not just for this game. Got FIFA coming out soon. I know folks want me to get back to MLB The Show. Out of the park baseball. There's sports gaming is improving. We've all been complaining about it a lot, but it is getting better. 5 seconds. That's your final score. 112-96. Not good. Not a good game there.
This one was over well before the final buzzer. The fans were waiting for something to get excited about.
This game just, it looks so good. This game's so well done. I can't believe how many people still complain about this game. Like, is it perfect? Absolutely not, but
and now let's catch up with David Aldridge.
I would just die for them to have a football game like this again. Even a baseball game would be great. We have some pretty good baseball options, though.
Looked like you were in an extra crispy special kind of zone tonight. How did you do it?
Man, well, the beauty is in the process. It's in the preparation. You know, before I get here, I'm trying to get locked in mentally. Just trying to come out here and put on a good performance, lead my team, do the best job I can. That's all I'm trying to do.
It was all on display tonight, man. Congrats on the win. Back to you.
All right, David, thank you. And that's going to do it tonight, folks, for our broadcast. For David Aldridge, Greg Anthony, and Steve Smith, and the rest of our terrific 2K Sports crew, this is Kevin Harlan saying thank you.
So there we go. I just want to look at just a couple things here. Actually, I want to just look at the team comparison. Yeah, points in the paint. Not too bad. Still a little bit high there. 62 for both teams. Yeah, nothing to really write home about in this game. Turnovers weren't even as bad as they said. So we're turning the ball over more in the simulated games versus the played games. But again, very, very small sample size. So I'm not too freaked out about that. Yeah, just not a good game. Not a good game at all. By the way, Wembanyama was hurt for that game, so that's why he was not playing there. But let's take a look and see how his season has been. Pretty darn good for a rookie, for sure. Averaging close to 20 points. He's averaging a double-double already. So, generational talent, he might be there. So it's a bummer we had to miss that game, but we'll try to catch him when we play in Utah. And I'd like to kind of see him play live and just see how big he is there. So. And yeah, I'm curious if you guys saw him in there. He might have been one of those guys in the suits in the back there. I couldn't really tell, but pretty cool that the game does that. And as we're working our way through December here, Jamal Murray has come back and he helped us win 4 straight games, or is it 3 straight? I think it's 4 straight games. But now he's hurt again, so he is out again. Left shin splints, 1 to 2 weeks. So, all right, come on, Jamal. Need you to stay healthy. And we're approaching scouting. We'll get into scouting a little bit more in the next episode. But I think what's interesting here, other than us winning every single game since we checked in on that Jazz game, is if I hadn't told you that the Jazz game was the game that was played actually in game, you wouldn't really be able to tell, other than maybe it stands out as a loss, which is just a coincidence. But I mean, I'm talking about the scores, right? And that's something I've been really trying to balance with the slider set. So again, not to get too off topic here, but it's just working out really well. Because any good sort of series like this, right? I mean, if you get too deep into this and stuff starts breaking, I mean, it's really easy to lose interest, and it starts it's not as interesting, right? And it just gets frustrating and those sort of things. So I did a lot of testing with that. That's what I'm continuing the test here with the slider set. And again, you can see our chemistry now is actually up to 97%. We're sitting at 16-5 so far. So really, they're surpassing all expectations really at this point. And again, we've had some injuries there with Murray being out a few times. We are the number 1 seed right now, highest winning percentage, or I guess second highest winning percentage, but the most wins in the Eastern Conference. And that's including the Western Conference there now, if we look at it. So we are, right there with Indiana for being the top team in the NBA so far. So kind of had an idea this was a pretty good team, but even more than I had thought. Looking at the screen, maybe one small concern is we're in a tough division. That's not a huge surprise. That could start to kind of impact our playoff situation, whereas, Indiana's looking a little bit early on that maybe they have an easier division than us. But again, super, super early. But you can see the points per game. We're right with them points against. And points per game, we're pretty darn high up, maybe second in the conference, behind Cleveland. So really, really nice to see. When we look at defense, check that out. Number 1 points against per game in the Eastern Conference. What a huge difference. We're dead last in the NBA, right? We are number 1 now in the NBA, one season to the next. Still very early, only 21 games in, but got to be really, really happy with that so far. We got our first real big bad news hit, really, of this entire series. Mitchell Robinson has ruptured his right Achilles. He is out for the season, potentially more. That's a huge hit for us, and really is going to have us reevaluating what we're going to be doing at the center position this year with the number 1 seed potentially on the line. We're going to need something other than just Haberstein or whatever his name is. So we're going to need something there. Good thing we kept some depth. We're now through December 15th, and we still have not lost since that Utah game. We're 20-5. This is 99% of this is simulated. Again, the only game I've really jumped into was this one. I tried to watch the first one. It was locking up because I had to quit out of it at one time. Don't ever do that, by the way, because it puts you in that bind where you can't ever complete the game properly. So, but oh my gosh, we scored 148. We gave up 122. But we have to be, I can't see how we're not now the number 1 team in the NBA. So we've won 80% of our games so far. That's wild. This is even better than I thought. We're still 3-2 in the division. Points per game, number 2. Points against, still number 1. This is looking to be a phenomenal team. This could be the team that the New York Knicks fans have been waiting for. So for all of you on my back being super patient, calling for my job, including the damn governor himself, back off, let me cook, let me do my work. So here we go. Things are looking really, really, really good. Again, the big kind of bummer is that we do have Mitchell Robinson out. That's huge. That's a bummer. That's more than a bummer. He's just one of my favorite players on this team. I love watching him in game. He's just super, super kind of old school, rebounding, blocking shots. Huge bummer. But there's some big injuries throughout the league, as you can see here, just kind of flipping through this list. So we're not the only team dealing with it. Again, Cade Cunningham again for my Pistons. He was hurt a lot last year. So again, we're going to get more into this and just kind of what this means, right? I think where do we leave this now? I think we're starting to talk a little bit about kind of draft plans, but really just we're in a good spot where we probably can be thinking more about best player available. But what are we going to do with Mitchell Robinson? There's no secret now. He's going to be out for the year. So we're going to need some sort of plan. Again, just to kind of show you a reminder of what we have at center here. Hartenstein, good player. He really deserves a shot to kind of step into that starting role, which he'll be doing here. And Sims is getting there. Sims, we know he has some potential at B+. So, maybe we just kind of go with these guys for a little bit and see. That's kind of my plan right now. I don't think we need to have like a knee-jerk reaction. Real quick, I can just show you the free agents available at the center position, even power forward. There are some options out there. We could bring in some guys here, but we don't have to either. And so at least the good news is maybe we don't need to worry about bringing in somebody through a big trade. But really, you're looking at, there's probably only 3 players I'd even consider, right? One of these 3 maybe. And they're not really needle movers, but they would at least give us some depth. So let me know your thoughts on that. Again, everyone, I thank you so much for watching. We're through the midway point of December. We're 20-5. This is wild. So the Knicks are looking really, really good. Thanks again for checking out these videos. And there's a lot more coming. So if you'd like, again, I've mentioned that there's a membership. If it's not available by the time this video is posted, it will be very, very soon. But you can now become a member of this YouTube channel. And it's $2.99 a month. That's all it costs. And it'll give you access to just some private videos and different things that I'll be doing, kind of deeper dive stuff. So think of it like how there's websites for the NFL, like Pro Football Focus, where you kind of get like deeper looks into things. And we'll be doing some stuff like that. And also it just helps support. I just super appreciate it. It keeps me motivated. This stuff, does take some time to assemble and everything, but it's been a ton of fun. I'm glad you all are here. And again, we'll be doing more than just NBA 2K. So for now, I'm Mike Lowe. This has been episode 1 of season 2 with our New York Knicks here, and we're looking good thanks to all of you. Thanks to the great input and us working together. I'm on Twitter at MikeLowe47. Thanks for subscribing to the YouTube channel, and I will see you next time.